Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Kill the small talkers. I'm your host, Alex Crone, and today I'm with Rick Martinelli. He's a comedian, hip-hop artist, and a father. He's performed at venues such as the Comedy Store, the Improv, various Don't Tell comedy shows. He's also an eBay reseller and a vintage skateboard dealer. Rick, welcome to the show.
That's a lot of that's so much intro, dude. That's too many things.
Oh, okay. I'll redo it. I'll cut it. Yeah, I'll cut it back.
No. I like it. It's just I gave you the list, so I'm just like when I hear it out loud, I'm like, am I overdoing it here?
What do you tell when you're performing at shows? When a host asks you like, hey, how do you want me to introduce you? What do you say?
I have a setup for a joke for my intro. I tell them to introduce me as he tours internationally, and then I go up there. I go, I've done one show in Canada. I don't know if that.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that one. That's how I introduced you.
It's just like a stupid quick laugh, you know.
Yeah. I had a couple. Mine was he's God's favorite atheist, and then stupid. I know. And then my second one was the world's tallest hobbit.
I like
and
that.
And then I come up and I'm like fucking 5'6", and that gets a laugh.
That's towering for a hobbit, though. That's true.
Almost just choked there. I'm all right. I'm gonna use this as a clip for Instagram.
Yes, perfect.
Good content. What's up, man? Where do we find you? Where are you at?
I'm in my garage, dude. I'm in my garage. This was and still sort of is like the podcast studio, but I kind of had to like reappropriate it to be like an eBay selling office.
Right.
Yeah, that's why there's all this like weird shit, like these little babies behind me and stuff. This is all just like stuff that gets sold on eBay, dude.
Dude, I mean, shit, it looks cool.
It does look cool. It's a total disaster all around me right now because it's like a work in progress. But I found I was like, this corner will work, you know?
It's a perfect corner. You got like paintings back there.
It's a lot. There's a lot of interest. There's a lot of interest going on here.
Are those like are those dolls on your right?
This is like my wife's stuff. That's like a nun, like a weird nun that she puts her weed in. And then that's like, it's like some cat in a dress. I don't know, dude. And then some babies and some weird stuff, some art. I don't know. It's all sorts of stuff, dude. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff in this garage. So I had to like move a bunch of things around to like fit myself in for a podcast, dude.
Right. Well, you better get back on it, man.
I know, dude. I know. Yeah, we put it on hiatus. We were running the podcast. We did it for a while, and then it's a lot of work. Obviously, you know, it's a lot of work independently producing a podcast. So we're sort of always just like in the process of like bringing it back and then like reassessing and then bringing it back. And you know how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. And not to mention you're a father, so you're dealing with dad stuff.
Yep. That's a never ending job. You know what I mean? That's the one job that you never get paid for. And it's the most important one, dude. And and it never ends. 24 hours a day, you're on call no matter what. So.
How old is she now?
I have two daughters, actually. 8.
Oh, that's right.
8 and 18.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude. I have a kid in
difference.
college. I have a kid in college and a kid in 3rd grade, dude. It's wild.
Aren't you still in college?
No. I never went to college. Are you kidding? I was not destined for college, dude. I'm a rapper and a comedian. Those aren't college degrees, dude.
No, I know. I just mean you look so young still. Like you still
thank you. I appreciate
got a young
that.
face.
Remind me every time you see me that I still look so young, dude. Because I don't feel it. I've been a dad for way too long to feel young anymore, you know. But I'm glad I'm pulling it off visually, dude.
100%, man. Actually, speaking of kids, we're going to play a game called This or That. It's a segment we usually play in the middle of the show, but we're switching things up, and now we're playing it in the beginning of the show.
Okay.
So I'm just going to ask you a series of rapid-fire questions, kind of like would you rather kind of things. If one of these questions reminds you of like a story or, you want to speak more about it, feel free to interrupt, and then we can go from there. Cool?
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, sweet. Okay, here we go. So these I sort of wrote towards you as a comic.
Okay.
So Here we go. Would you rather open a set with a killer opening joke or close it out with a perfect bit? Like start strong or end strong?
Man, that's tough. That's tough, honestly. I try my best to do both. I don't always succeed, but I think I'd rather end strong. I feel like a solid opener is always good to break the tension, but
Yeah.
I feel like a good closer just really wraps it up. And I got plenty of sets where I go, this set's not going well, but the closer will work. So like I always feel good if I get off on a good laugh for sure.
Oh, actually, how do you recover from, like, how do you know you're not doing well? Is it the sweats? Is it the nervous? Is it just
Just when no one is laughing at you and they're just staring. I mean, obviously, like when you're writing, you have the intention is to like, okay, this is where they should laugh, and when they don't laugh, you go, that didn't work, But it's part of it, especially when you're always working on new material. I'm always constantly trying to work on new stuff, so it's bound to happen, but you feel it. Anyone that gets up there and does stand up, they know when it's not going well.
Yeah, I think the best recovery is to acknowledge, like to say something that like, oh, well, that didn't work, or whatever, make fun of the moment, and then that I feel like that immediately like grabs people back in.
I think so too, because I think it shows people that you're in the room with them, like you're aware.
Yeah.
And I do that a lot. I have a lot of jokes about. I don't know why, but I have a lot of jokes about crystal meth. I don't know why. It's not like an interest of mine, but I find it funny. And sometimes when I'm in like nicer cities, like those jokes just do not land. And I make it a point to point it out that I'm well aware that the meth jokes might not work in like a really nice, rich area. Like I get it. The frame of reference is not there.
Right. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Would you rather perform for a packed but rowdy basement club or a half-empty, respectful theater?
I'd rather do a packed and rowdy basement club. That's just a type of energy that like it's just fun. It's just fun for comedy. It's challenging. Half-empty theater. I mean, I've done those. It's quiet. I'd rather have loud disruption than just dead silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think most big comedians, especially the comedians that like do like the massive like arenas, most of them will say, despite hundreds of thousands of people being there and like making money from like merch, like most of them still say that they'd rather do the small intimate clubs because like the laughs just like bounce off and the energy's more like it's more contagious.
Well, I was watching Chappelle's most recent special, and it's in an arena, and I was so distracted by the pacing of it for a special, because those laughs roll from the beginning all the way to the back of an arena. Like that takes time. So like that pacing is different. Whereas if you're in like a loud, small club with low ceilings, it's just a kill box, like that energy is just rapid fire. And I always love that environment more. I mean, a half empty place, like doing a big room with not enough people in it feels more empty.
You're
like
gonna
it
feel
really
it.
does.
Yeah.
Like it could be more people. It could be physically more people in that big theater than in that small room. But when you compact them all into one little space, it's just such a good energy for comedy shows.
Dude, that's why I was doing my show in that gallery, because it was like it was, it had a high ceiling, but it was still like it was sort of narrow and it was like long, and the laughs would just bounce.
Yeah, I remember that room was real. It was real echoey. So anytime that like a laugh popped off, like it was just in your face, and you feel it. You could feel it on stage.
Yeah, totally. Ooh, do you have a favorite like small intimate place like that here in LA or like just in SoCal?
I mean, man, I've had some really great shows in the belly room at the Comedy Store. I mean, that room when it's rolling is just
same.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
it's incredible. And then also like even down in San Diego, the Comedy Store in La Jolla, that room is something special too. And that's a little bit bigger, like a little bit bigger, but it's still like sort of a smaller, just dedicated room for it. And that room, like when it's rolling, it's rolling.
Yeah. I think I saw you perform there with, you remember Hans Hilton?
Oh yeah, Han's my homie.
I think you guys did a show there together. And
we did. We did a few. We did a few at the Comedy Store in La Jolla together.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather perform like rigidly, heavily rehearsed material, or sort of loosey-goosey crowd work?
Admittedly, crowd work is not my strong suit, but I do try to make sure that, like, whenever I'm going up, I don't ever want to be too rigid. I want to know where I'm going, and I want to reserve the right to, like, fuck around. So I kind of like, I'm sort of like a combination of both a little bit. If something happens in the crowd that needs to be addressed, I'm ready to address it.
Yeah.
yeah. But some of those guys that go up with just those people are just people who are good at crowd work. They're just like, they're naturally funny people. So like they thrive in that kind of environment. And, a lot of other comedians really need to like write and prepare their material. That's definitely sort of where I stand on the spectrum of comedians. But obviously, you always got to be ready to throw some riff out or address some asshole in the crowd or whatever it might be,
Ooh, do you have a crazy heckler story? Like, what's the craziest heckler you've dealt with? Or maybe not just heckler, but like just something like off happened and then you addressed it and just didn't go as you were planning. So you were able to reel it in.
I did have... okay, so I used to do shows at this. It was just like kind of a workout room in Orange County. It was like this sports bar. And it was really like kind of like a tweaker heckler bar a little bit. Like it wasn't really like...
I know those.
Yeah, it wasn't a fine establishment. You know what I mean? And the group of people that hung out there, a lot of them were cool, but some of them could give a fuck if there was a comedy show going on and there was pool
they're
tables.
there to watch their game. Yeah.
Yeah, there was pool tables and pinball machines in the room. And on multiple times when I'm just up there working shit out, the only thing I hear is pool balls and someone playing pinball. And at one time, some guy got in a new argument with me about MMA gyms while I was on stage. I was like, where's this going? What are we doing here? I did get him, though. I was like, you look like you're selling cocaine in the fucking bathroom. Go back to your posts.
That made him laugh.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, all right, you're all right, kid.
All right, I'll shut up about the UFC gym.
I actually had a heckler who heckled me twice, and guess who it was? My mom.
Ooh, that's why my mom is not allowed at the comedy show.
Mom, I love you if you're listening, but if you're at a comedy show, the comedian is talking at you guys, not with you guys for the most of the time. It's not a Q&A. You don't get to yell out stuff and respond unless the comic literally points you out and asks and wants wants an honest answer from the crowd. Then that's okay. Yeah, otherwise, it's the comic and that's it.
That's it.
But it was at a buddy's It was a small intimate theater. It was they were producing this show there, and it was like a comedy variety show. So like they had comics, and then I played a couple like songs that were like funny, and then afterwards they were like, hey, like they're I think someone had like left or someone like left the show early. They were like, hey, if you want to do like an extra 5-10 minutes, go ahead. So I did like 5-10 minutes of stand up, and then and what my mom was saying, it wasn't like. You get the like supportive hecklers.
Yeah, and those ones are the worst, to be honest. I'd rather get like insulted in a heckle than someone to be like, "You're doing okay." Like, "Oh, no, don't do that."
Yeah, I think the insulting hecklers are more fun to play with.
Yeah, for sure. Because the supportive heckler, you're like, "Thank you for interrupting me." I guess.
Thank you, but shut up.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh man, I love you, Mom. But yeah, you had a comedy show.
Yeah,
but no shoe because you got to laugh. Okay. Would you rather? What do I have here? A bachelor party. Oh, okay. Would you rather perform for a bachelor party that loves you, or a group of serious comedy nerds judging the F out of you?
I mean, dude, the bachelor party. For sure. 100%. I mean, I feel like every time I get on stage, I'm in a room full of comedians judging me, dude. It's kind of unavoidable, dude. I'd rather take the rowdy bachelor party for sure, dude. 100%.
Yeah. Or like, I guess I meant like when you go to a show and most of the comics who are performing didn't bring anyone, so it's like them.
Right.
So you're performing for more just comics.
Yeah,
like,
that reminds me too much of the open mic world, dude. That's, I can go do that anytime. I prefer not to.
Right. Do you have a favorite open mic around town?
A favorite? I don't know. Not particularly. They're sort of, they're kind of all the same. The main three that I always went to the most.
Yeah, sure.
I love for what they are, is Fourth Wall and the Hollywood Comedy and Badger and Jam. And those can, like any open mic, can be great, but can also be just like so excruciating. But that's literally any open mic, so there's no way to avoid it. So it's just pick your poison,
Right. Did you ever do the it was in downtown Glendale, near a movie theater. I think it was like the Glendale Room or something. It was like a library.
Yeah, Glendale Room. Yeah, the little library themed one.
Have you done that?
I've done some shows there. I never really did the mic there, but I have done like some small shows there. Yeah, it's a fun little room.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I haven't performed there yet, but yeah, it seems like a cool.
It's cool. It's small, but
space.
it's when you fit enough people in there, it's a fun room, dude.
Yeah, it looks like it can be. Okay. Would you prefer performing short, punchy one-liners or sort of like long, like narrative storytelling?
I would love to get better at short, punchy one-liners. Those are hard to write. I'm more of like a bit comic, so I like to stretch a bit out for as long as I can. I want to like squeeze every drop of potential out of it.
Yeah.
So, but I would love to just get better at those one-liners. For a while, I was just trying to write like topical news story jokes. I was trying to put together something for, I don't know, maybe a writing job or something. And it's hard, dude. It's hard to write those kinds of jokes.
Yeah.
But when you get one, though, it's the best feeling. When you're like, oh, I just got like a really short, less than 10-word joke that works. That's like such a good feeling. A long bit, a whole bunch of tags and everything, you could stretch that out and, but to get that laugh, if you get that one laugh off that one line real quick, that's great. I'd love to be better at that. A lot of my favorite comics currently are like that, like Sam Morril, Mark Norman, those guys are just
I love those guys.
They're joke machines, I feel like I got to expand on my bits so much before I get to all the jokes sometimes that like, I like doing that, but also like I would love to get better at those quick jokes, like the just Rodney Dangerfield style, man. It's so hard to do.
Mitch Hedberg.
Oh, Mitch Hedberg.
A burrito is a sleeping bag for beef.
That guy's mind worked in such a unique way that was just designed for comedy, dude. It really was. His old stuff, his old like Comedy Central stuff, or a CD that you go listen to Mitch all together again.
CD, yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good, dude. It's timeless. That guy's jokes will always be funny.
Yeah, man. Yeah, gone way, way too soon. He would have been. He was already kind of big then, but he would have. I don't know.
He could have been huge, dude.
Yeah, his career would have gone way further. He was definitely ahead of his time for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Would you rather? Okay, speaking of writing, would you rather write for a late night show or like a really famous like late night show, or your own national tour?
Selfishly, I would prefer my own national tour.
National tour,
Obviously, there's a lot of hurdles that you got to like overcome before you get to your own tour, and I think having some sort of stability within comedy is like a big part of that. So, like a late night job would be a great jumping off point to getting to that next level. But and I explored that whole world for a while. I definitely considered like really pursuing some sort of writing job, but at the same time I'm like, I just love being on stage. I like the live aspect of it. Like, and I toured a lot as a rapper. And I love that. I love that world, dude.
So that just came okay. So that was going to be so that concludes the this or that edition.
Okay,
but I was gonna get into so you started off with being a hip hop artist prior to being a comic, right?
Yeah, I was a independent hip hop artist for over 20 years before I started doing stand up. And I'm never really fully done with it. I'm focused on comedy right now because it's like, I don't know, it's feeding my soul, I guess, as corny as that sounds. But, like the music bug is never really gone. It just sort of like lays dormant for a little while. But yeah, I mean, dude, I started in the early 2000s. I mean, 2001, when I was, a kid in high school with braces, I started, freestyling and battle rapping and all that shit. And I just kept running with it for as long as I could. And I had a good run, but there's kind of like an age limit to like being a rapper, you know what I mean? And I feel like as much as I like to say, like, I was a rapper for over 20 years, like a rapper for over 20 years that didn't make it. I don't know if that's like a bragging point or not. I did it for a long time and I'm happy with what I did with it. And it took me to a lot of amazing places. I got to tour. I got to perform on some amazing festivals and some amazing shows. I was on Vans Warped Tour, that was great. I performed all over the country, Mexico, Canada, anywhere, everywhere, it was great.
Was that something like when you were like freestyling in high school, was that something you're like, oh, like, okay, like I'm kind of good at this, or was it your buddies being like, dude, like you're not bad, like you should like get into it? Like, take it more seriously.
Around that time, I grew up in San Diego. And so in Southern California in the early 2000s, like underground hip hop was like really big.
Oh, yeah.
And there were a lot of like kids that were freestyling and, independently producing music and stuff like that. So like, it wasn't just me. It was like my whole friend group, like all of us, like our whole group of homies.
Gotcha.
We all made music. We all rap. We would all go to house parties and, battle rap in the backyard type of shit. And so it just sort of like organically grew as a group of all of us. We all just sort of were doing our own thing. But then, over time, it's not super lucrative, especially going out on the road doing self-funded tours. You know what I mean? You barely break even, if that. Sometimes you lose a ton of money. So a lot of the people that I started making music with, they just slowly, one by one, just kind of stopped. And I was like kind of the last man standing. And so, yeah, it was like a big group thing for a while. And then I just kept going, dude.
Did you like as a rapper too, are you also a musician? Like, did you create your own
I don't
beats
have a music,
beyond
linguistically, I don't have outside of linguistically, I don't have a musical bone in my body. I mean, I produce beats and stuff. Like I have sample machines, I have beat machines and all that. I've been making beats for as long as I've been rapping too. But like I can't play. I sold my guitar yesterday. I swear to God. I'm not even joking.
What kind of guitar was it?
It was a Squire. It was just like, sort of kind of little whatever Guitar Center had on sale a few Christmases ago,
Right.
Yeah.
Sold it on Facebook Marketplace or eBay, I guess.
I was going to sell it on eBay, and then my homie came over. My homie has a daughter who's my daughter is friends with, and he just saw it.
Okay.
Like, that thing's sick. I was like, I'm selling it. You want to buy it? And he bought it.
Hell yeah!
I was pretty happy with that.
Sweet deal. So then when you were performing, when you were touring, what were you? Obviously, like you were rapping over music, right? Like, what was that music? What did it come from? Was it buddies that made it for you?
I worked with a lot of different producers over the years.
Okay.
In the early internet days, like when MySpace was like relevant. I networked like crazy, and I just made friends with other independent hip hop artists across the country, and a lot of those people were producers. Or I would, I'd be on a tour, and we would stop in someone's city, and I'd meet somebody there, and they'd be like, "Oh, I make beats." So a lot of it was, friends and just other hip hop artists that made beats, and I did production on almost all of my albums. At least like a few songs, but it wasn't my strong suit. But I always really wanted to kind of like have something like that I produced myself. But yeah, most of the beats just came from other producers from, all over the place. I worked with producers from the UK and DJs in Germany and, producers from, San Diego, people that I grew up with. A lot of producers in Colorado where I spent 5 years in Colorado before I moved out to LA to do comedy. So it was just, whoever had dope beats that I could work with, really.
Did you have a preference in the style of like beats you were rapping over? Like say, cause like a lot, like the hip hop I like usually, they're rapping over like something kind of like funky and like groovy, which is what a lot of those early hip hop artists were rapping over.
Yeah. A lot of like boom bap type of stuff. You know what I mean? Not
West Coast, right?
Yeah, not typically like music that you would expect to hear on the radio. Not that type of production. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like, I want to rap over Chief Keef beats or whatever. Right. So yeah, sonically, I mean, for the most part, you can kind of just, if any of your, watchers or listeners have any knowledge of like early 2000s underground independent hip hop music, sort of just like kind of along those lines, sample based, boom bap, funky type stuff. Yeah. Upbeat normally.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, dude, that's the stuff I like listening to because everyone because I, as a musician myself, I feel like a lot of people see me as like a rock musician, which I normally play, but they don't like picture me as the type to listen to hip hop. Then they get surprised when I tell them no, like I love hip hop. Like I love the early hip hop of like the late 70s into the 80s and into the 90s, even early 2000s too. Like I fuck with it, but a lot of like the modern stuff like today, some of it is good. Like I like Kendrick. Good, I like Kendrick. I like J. Cole. Like those guys are good, really good. And I have a high respect for them. But a lot of it is just like mira, woo, I'm like, what the fuck are you saying?
It changed. It changed, but it always has and it always sort of will. I try to not hate on too much stuff because I know it's not necessarily made for me. That's one of those things too that like I think would specifically when it comes to like rap and hip hop, it sort of really is kind of like a younger person genre. I think you get a little bit older and you relate less and less to it. So whatever is going to be current, like whatever the sound is in hip hop or rap, whatever is current is really just going to be what the younger generation appreciates. And I do find myself being more and more like one of those old hip hop heads, a real fucking get off my lawn kind of guy. Like I don't want to hear that stuff. But I also just like I kind of recognize that it's not necessarily made for me. And there's still plenty of music that's being made for, fans of like that classic hip hop stuff. Yeah, there's plenty of it out there. It is one of the great things about the internet these days. It's like you don't like this little sub chapter of whatever it is,
but
check out this one. Yeah, because it's there. You just have to find it.
Yeah. Did you have a name that you went by, or is it just Rick Martinelli?
No, Rick Martinelli would have been a lame ass rap name.
I'm Rick Martinelli from SD.
Yeah, no, I go by Reason the Citizen, which is also still kind of a lame ass rap name. But It was, like in the early 2000s, everybody was trying to like pick some fucking cool, unique, deep name, or whatever, and that's what I landed on, and it worked. I had some fans, so I just kept it.
Wasn't that your Instagram name for a little while?
It was, yeah. I
remember that. I think when I first met you, that was your Instagram handle.
Yeah, dude. Because in the very beginning when I first started doing comedy, I mean, I was still very much actively, at least like performing music, doing shows and everything. I wasn't really like recording anything. But when I started, doing comedy, it was like I had like this crazy like debate in my head about whether or not I should just like lean into this comedy thing more, or if that was just going to be like a side thing. Cause like really I'm a rapper and, after, I don't know, hundreds of stand-up performances, I was like, all right, I think I'm a comedian now. I'm just going to go ahead and make that transition, That was going to be my next moment. It took me a while to come to that conclusion, dude.
Okay. Well, that was going to be my next question. It was, what was the switch from hip hop to comedy? Do you remember that pretty well? Like
I mean, so before I even did music in high school, I was on the speech team, right? And I did specifically comedy events on the speech team. So I know people, they think speech and debate, they just think a bunch of people like arguing about whatever, I don't know, politics, whatever. But there was this whole other side of it where it was like sort of like competitive acting events. And I always did the comedy stuff. So like I was kind of doing stand up in some sort of way. I was comedy driven early on. And I always wanted to do stand up. I still have joke books from 2005. Like I had fully intended on doing stand up way, way, way before I actually started. But I just didn't know anybody that did stand up. Yeah. And at the time, stand up is everywhere now. I mean, there's shows everywhere, every weekend in every city across America.
Yeah. It seems like every even the smallest cities has some sort of comedy scene.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the one spot everyone goes to.
And like 20 plus years ago, that wasn't really the case. So it's like if you didn't live in a city that had like an active comedy scene, it was like kind of hard to get into stand up. And I just didn't know how to do it. And at the time, me and my friends, we were making a lot of music. We were playing a lot of shows. We were performing a lot locally. We were going on little mini tours and road trips and stuff. And I was just like, seems to be working. So I'm just going to roll with this and see where it takes me. But stand up was always in the back of my mind. And even like in my, during my performances, like I would do bits and jokes in between songs. Cause like, I didn't want to be like, there's so much posturing and bravado and machismo in rap music. And I'm not really that guy. I'm not like a tough guy. I'm not like a dude with guns and shit like that. So I always kind of wanted to make it clear, like, hey, I'm well aware that I don't fit this image that a lot of people think of when they think about being a rapper. So I was like, and I also was always sort of like a smart ass funny dude. So I just was telling jokes in between my songs and doing funny little shit on stage. And I was like, it was all sort of just training to doing stand up.
Yeah. Little did you know. Did you grow up with an artistic family? Like were your parents involved in music?
No, no, not really. I think maybe that's what drove me to be who I was, though. I kind of was like, I was always like the black sheep. I wanted to just go against the grain. Everyone else went this way, I went that way. I don't know why. I don't think it was intentional. I just think my brain just works that way for whatever reason. So like, no, not really. I mean, my dad was like a computer guy. Like he worked for like IBM in the 80s and shit. And, and my mom was a teacher. So no, I wasn't really necessarily exposed to any of that. I just, for some reason, I'm like one of those guys, like, when you see something, you like it for the first time, you see it, you immediately go, I like that. You can't even explain why, but you go, I like that. That's the thing that interests me. I always, whenever I found that thing, I went straight towards it. Like, and so it was like, when I was young, it was like skateboarding. All right, skateboarding. I was like, oh, I want to do that. And then I was just consumed my life. And then it was like, and then it was hip hop, and then it was fucking weed for a long time, which is less productive. But, so I think it's just for whatever reason. I will say this though, my family, although not being like super necessarily artistic, my dad plays guitar. He's always been a big music guy. He introduced me to a lot of music when I was a kid.
Okay.
So like all of my knowledge of like, classic rock, anything from the 60s to the 80s type of stuff, like I know because of my dad. And one of the things that he did do for me when I was young is he used to play me stand-up records. Because he had a whole record collection. So he would play old Carlin records. He would play like Woody Allen, the Firesign Theater, like if you're ever familiar with that shit, like these weird sort of like comedy sketch recordings. And it just always like spoke to me. It just always spoke to me. And I don't know, I just wanted to do it. I just wanted to be on stage, whether it was music or comedy. It just spoke to me. So I just did it. I don't even think anyone encouraged it,
Who were you listening to as a kid, comedy wise? I know you said Carlin, and were there other ones you're like, oh man?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, like, but I was like sort of becoming, like a teenager in like the late 90s and the early 2000s. So it was like whatever was on If a homie had
Then.
HBO, I never had HBO, but if a friend had HBO and there was some stand-up shit on, like I was definitely watching. I know my cousins had HBO on the East Coast when we went out there. I remember watching a Dana Carvey special. That was just so fucking silly that I just loved it. I just loved it. And then, those Chris Rock specials, are incredible. The early Chappelle specials are incredible. Dane Cook, I can't deny it. I mean, that guy was huge at a time where I was really paying attention. And then, it just grew into like a lot of the Comedy Central comics too, because that was really the only access I had to stand up really at that time. So, Pablo Francisco, Jim Gaffigan.
Oh, I was just gonna say Pablo Francisco was when I was in. So you've got a few years over me, but when I was in middle school, Pablo Francisco, everyone was talking about him.
Dude,
everyone.
His sausage CD, I still have that CD signed by Pablo Francisco.
What?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
The very first stand-up show that I can't really I don't know, when you try to recall everything is like blurs together. I can't really remember what the exact first stand-up show that I went to, but the very first club I ever went to was the Hollywood Improv, and it was to see Pablo Francisco, and just like this probably would have been, that was the only club that I think would let you go if you weren't 21. So, this probably would have been maybe 2004, I guess, 2005.
Wow.
And I saw Pablo Francisco, Lisa Lampanelli, Jim Norton, Gary Goldman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was just like, at that time,
Heavy
my mind
hitters.
was blown. Because those were all like some of the biggest comics like on Comedy Central at that time. And here I am seeing them all on it was like a Wednesday or something at the Improv.
Yeah, totally.
There was like 40 people there. My mind was blown,
Do you remember your first show you performed stand-up, like, ever? Like, at
Yeah, it was at the Improv in that same room.
Shit.
In that same room, yeah. That was the first set I ever did. Was on the main stage at the Hollywood Improv. It was part of I took a stand-up class, and not because I thought it was going to really teach me how to be a comic. I knew no matter what, I'm going to have to go out and do the work. But I signed up for a class because I wanted to meet some other people who were also starting stand up, and B, that particular class that I signed up for, their whole thing was your graduation performance or whatever is on the main stage at the Improv. And I was like, that was the first ever comedy club I went to. So I was like, it's divine fate, dude. I have to do it.
That was me with the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Same thing. It was a class. That was our graduating showcase, and then got called back a few more times after that.
Dude, hell yeah.
What were you feeling when that night? What was going through your head?
I was just, to me, I've been on stage for my whole life, so I was like, part of me was like, oh, it's just like any other whatever performance, but
sure.
I knew it. As soon as I got on stage, I got that first laugh. I was like, "Oh, I'm doing this forever."
Yep.
I'm just gonna keep going, dude. I just knew it. I was like, "Oh, I got the bug right now."
Yeah. My first show at the store was great. Did well. Brought a ton of people. Got invited back a few more times after that. And I was sort of recycling those same jokes, and I was doing them at different places. Did them have you ever performed at the Sunset Rooftop?
Oh yeah, many times. Many times.
Did that same exact set, and dude, the jokes were just going over people's heads, and
that was a tough room.
I was like,
that was a tough room.
And that was it was a terrible.
I had some rough ones there, dude.
Same, man.
But if you ever did good there, it felt so good because you know how bad it was. And that was one of those places. They would just cycle through comic after comic after comic after comic.
Yep.
You sat there and watched. You see 25 comedians, and most of them were all very new and not very good. But if you had a killer set there, oh man, it was such a good feeling.
It's rewarding.
I can do this. I can do the tough room.
Yeah, actually. Rick, do you remember? I was trying to remember this earlier today as I was driving. I was like, I don't even remember how I met you. Was it at a show? Was it just through Instagram? Was it through someone we both know? Was it through Jason?
No, because you know what? I actually met Jason at your show. That was the first night I met Jason.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm trying to think of how. Maybe
It must have been a show that we did together, and then we just followed each other, and then
Maybe the Chateau? Were you doing the Chateau?
I've done the Chateau a couple times. I did what else? I mean, I've done Hollywood comedy. I did Fourth Wall a few times.
We were probably on one of those
in
shows
passing,
together at one
maybe.
point.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Dude, I can't remember. It's like once you start doing this and you meet all, especially like, you know, doing showcase shows in LA where there's so many comics on it and doing mics, it's just all becomes a blur, dude. I can't remember. I just
must have been all that crystal meth.
I'm having a tough time just remembering like even where it all started, you know? It just seems like it's just been happening the whole time, you know?
Actually,
it's a weird reality.
That's something we can talk about real quick. That's right. I booked you on my show at the gallery.
Yep.
I didn't realize how many I think at that particular night how many white guys, how many white men that I had all throughout that show. And looking back at it when we took the group photo, I was like, damn. I was like, what a diverse group of white people.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. You're not passing the LA diversity check on that one, dude.
No, I would have been canceled. And I remember, I think after that night, my sister or someone said, they were like, hey, how about throwing a few people of color or, you know, women up there? I was like, yep. I didn't even realize. I was just booking people I thought were funny. And of course, like I was all friends with those dudes. So I didn't even realize that I was like doing that. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, you're right. I do kind of mix it up a little bit. It happens
all the time. It's never intentional. You're always
no,
just,
not at all.
It's always just like, oh, this will make the best show. And it just happens to be a group of people that all look exactly alike.
Look the same.
It just happens. Yeah. Sometimes that happens.
Do you have I know you kind of brought it up a couple times, but was there a particular night, particular show where it just went absolutely like just horribly wrong? Like, do you have like a comedy like stand up like horror story you feel okay to share?
Oh, I do.
Bring it on.
And I've actually been sort of kind of like working on this and like developing this into a story for the stage, but it's not there like at all yet. But I'm gonna go ahead and like I'm gonna redact some information.
Sure.
Because I don't want anybody to feel any kind of way. It's not disrespectful towards, you know.
Yeah. I get you.
It was a bad show, and I don't want anyone's business to be impacted by it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or a city or whatever. But right. I did a show, and actually, I was producing this show as well in a place, a big bar, that I only got to see when it wasn't open. Right when I went and I met this guy who wanted to do the show. You know, it was in the middle of the day, so I just saw this big empty bar. But it turns out that at night, that big empty bar is like the local like pop off party, just like ratchet dance club, which I was not made aware of. Right.
Whoops.
And also the owner has like hella friends, and they're all going to show up and they're all going to come in, and I can't say no to them. And they've got dance party rap night going on the minute after the show ends. And there's all these things that are going on right all at once. When we were setting up for the show, we were moving stuff out of the way to make space for the seats. And we realized that the floor is filthy, right? Like filthy, dude. Yeah. There were not one, but two honey bun wrappers on the floor inside a business. Not one, two. There was old petrified limes from like who knows how many months ago. You know what I mean? Half drinks with lipstick on them and stuff.
Alcohol everywhere.
Yeah, it was gross. Like it was really gross. And at this time, like the guy who was running the show, or the guy who owns the business, he wasn't even there. Right? We were just going like, where is this guy? He was supposed to be there. He wasn't there. And we go, we really need a broom. We really need a broom so we could sweep this up. Finally, the guy shows up after we've been setting up for like an hour, and he shows up and he's just like, hey, I'm just popping in real quick, but I got to leave. Are you good? Do you need anything? And I'm like, yeah, we really just need a broom so we could sweep up the floor. And he goes, oh, don't trip. I got you, man. I got you. And he goes behind the bar and he pulls out, I'm not fucking kidding you, a leaf blower, and starts leaf blowing all the trash and the garbage around.
Oh no.
blowing it all into the air of this business.
Made it worse.
Bro, there's an open kitchen in the back where they got like a deep fryer. I'm like, someone's getting some real questionable onion rings tonight. Like
Oh no.
it was rough. Okay. And then on the way out, as he's leaving, he goes, "Oh, hey, forgot to mention this, but I have a guest coming tonight. It's her 75th birthday and she's got a party of 13 and they want to come to the show." And I'm like, "Hey man, it's your business. You know, you want to have a guest list? That's fine. I'm not going to say no to the guest list." So I obviously say, "Yeah, of course. That's fine." He goes, "Okay, cool. They'll be here. They'll tell you at the door." All right. Now, next, I'm running the door. People are starting to come up. Now, these are the normal weekend people who are ready to party their faces off. This is the place that they go get hammered. They drink Long Island iced teas until 1 a.m. They smoke blunts in the parking lot. They get in fights. This place was a bar in between. I'm not even kidding you. A bar in between a fucking gun store and a bong shop, dude. Gun store, bong shop, and then next to the gun store, liquor store. So if you just imagine this like little shopping center, and this is so bad. I feel so bad about this because it sounds so fucked up, but it was totally unintentional. I was just like, I was trying to be helpful. This woman walks up, right? Heavy set woman. Normally, I don't feel the need to mention that, but like, just it's relevant to the story, right? Heavy set woman. She comes up to me. She's handing me her ID, and I go, "Oh no, I don't need your ID. I just need to know your last name on the ticket." She goes, "Tickets? What do you mean tickets?" And I was like, "Oh, there's a stand-up comedy show here tonight. It's a ticketed private event." She goes, "We just came here to get fucked up." And I'm like, "Okay, I understand, but you gotta have tickets tonight. And even if you did, this really wouldn't be the right place for you to just get fucked up." And she goes, I swear to you, she goes out of nowhere, no context. She goes, "I just came from the picnic. I drove from the picnic all the way here." And I'm like, "I understand that. I don't really know what you mean by that, but it's a ticketed show. There's nothing. You got to have tickets to come." She goes, "I just came from the picnic. I got 20 more women coming from the picnic, coming here, and we're trying to get fucked up." And I'm like, "Again, I'm so sorry. You got to have tickets." And she goes, "Okay, well, can I at least go use the bathroom?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course. Yeah, go use the bathroom." She goes in, she uses the bathroom. Now, another heavy set woman walks up, same thing, handing me her ID. I go, "Oh, I'm sorry. Are you with her?" She goes, "I just came from the picnic." I just came from the picnic. And I give her the same spiel. Okay. And she goes, "Okay, well, I think we're going to go party at this place across the street." The other woman comes out from the bathroom. She goes, "Hey, I got 20 more women coming over here. They all look like me. Tell them we're going to be at the bar down the street." And I go, "Sure. Okay. Yeah, of course. No problem." So I'm just trying to be a helpful boy. For the next hour, every fat woman that walked up to that door was met with me asking them if they just came from the picnic. I'm just like, "Oh yeah, oh, fat woman, you must have just came from the picnic. You've been eating a lot, right? You just come from the picnic?" And not one of them did. Not one of them. I probably asked 30 fat women if they came from the picnic, and they were just like, "What the fuck did you just say?
What's that supposed to mean?"
Yeah, dude. Okay. And then
now they're making you look like an asshole.
Oh my God, bro. And then the people for the 75th birthday party start showing up, right? Okay.
Oh boy.
First woman shows up. It's the woman. It's clearly the woman. She's 75. She's cute, adorable old lady, whatever. And I go, "Oh, okay. And the staff at the place, they're expecting them. They take them over and put them in this little side area, right? Next to the stage. Not in front of the stage, not part of the show, next to the stage, right? And then someone else shows up for the 75th birthday, and they have balloons and a fucking cake and a bunch of presents. And this party of 13 ended up being like 40 people straight up celebrating a woman's 75th birthday 5 feet from the fucking stage for the whole show. And they didn't give a fuck. It was like it wasn't even happening, dude.
Of course.
It was awful, dude. The whole show, just from beginning to end, was just, this is not going well. And there was just nothing we could do. Because it's not my business, you know what I mean? It's someone else's business. He's got these guests. He double booked the show. Who puts a birthday party next to a comedy show, dude? Luckily, we all riffed on it. All the comics had a great time with it. You know what I mean? But like, it was not good. It was a bad show.
Did any of them at least like laugh or like half paying attention, or just they were totally ignoring?
I got to a certain point where I was just like, I'm just gonna stand outside. this is gonna run its course, dude. I don't even know. I think they weren't being like disrespectful. It's just like they were like, we're here for our birthday party. What's this comedy show?
Yeah.
And we're just like, we're here for a comedy show. What the fuck is this?
We're here for the second picnic.
Yes, dude. Yeah, that one will forever stand out in my mind. And it was it was not a good crowd. It was so loud in there too. There's a birthday party. There's a guy shaking cocktails. There's a kitchen in the back dunking fries and honey bun wrappers in the fryer. Like, it was crazy, dude.
He's extra salmonella from the floor. Here we go.
Dude,
Top it
too
off.
much, man. Too much.
Dude, I think exactly how you told me the story. You know, you improvised some jokes in between. I think that's it. Just say it with as much conviction and as much just like irked, maybe even sometimes like quiet anger could just sell it as like the funniest, like, you know, story bit.
There's so much to it. It's one of those ones where I'm like, I'm going to have to work on this for a long time to make it like really, really punchy and good, you know? But yeah, I have to tell that on stage. It's so absurd.
That is so crazy, man. Thankfully the shows that I produced were at dedicated like performance like clubs, like dedicated for like even when like at the art gallery, it was an art gallery. I didn't have to deal with, you know, a long bar with people ordering this and that. Mm-hmm. There were no TVs playing the game.
Right.
Like, it was a dedicated art gallery. My aunt and uncle helped me bring in the chairs. You know, my connection with this music company helped me with the riser and the stage and the, you know.
Yes, it's a good controlled
that was it. It was controlled environment. Yep. There was a few times where I had to be like, hey, I need you guys to keep it quiet. You know,
sure.
You bought tickets for the show. You're here to see the show. You're not paying attention. Yeah. I had to tell him like 3 times. I'm like, on the 3rd time, I was like, I swear, if you guys keep talking, I'm gonna literally throw you out myself. Like, you guys gotta
go.
I'm gonna kick you the fuck out of here. Yeah, you cannot be here. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I actually didn't know you produced shows and you produce comedy shows. As a producer like myself, what was the most frustrating thing about producing a show, and then most rewarding aspect of
I think the most frustrating part of it is just not being able to just fully be committed as just a comedian in that moment. You know?
I agree.
I think that's the hardest part. I think the hardest part is like, you got to wear multiple hats. You just want to wear your fucking stand-up comedian hat. And you're like, I got to do crowd control. I got to go tell these guys to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I got to, you know, I got to go.
I got to give the light. Yeah.
Yeah. They ran out of paper towel in the bathroom. You know what I mean? All things that like, as just a stand-up, like, you don't want to have to worry about or think about. You just want to be dedicated to your act.
Yeah.
I think that's
the link's not working.
Part. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what was the most rewarding?
I mean, the most rewarding is just when the show just goes right all the way. You know what I mean? Like when there's no weird interruptions, where all the comics crush, where the audience is involved and not disruptive and grateful. You know, like just knowing that like your dedication is what made all of that collective experience possible is good. That feels good. But then on the flip side, when it ends up being a bad show and you're like, oh, I did this. It's all, you know. I think that's the hardest part. The hardest part is like separating, like, you know, I think for a lot of people, producing shows is you know, a means of creating their own stage time, which is good for development, it's good for growth as a comedian. But a lot of times too, it's hard to grow as a comedian while you're so focused on all the other things that producing a show involves. Yeah, I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah, well, see, for me, like when I first started doing it at the gallery, I wasn't hosting like the first few shows. I was just, I wanted to focus on my set and then the rest of the show, help people get in, seat people, do everything else, you know, time people. That was it. And then I don't know if you know him, David Smalley, comedian.
Maybe.
I think he was on the same show that you were at with Jason Collins and Jeff Horst.
Okay. Yeah.
He after that night, he came up to me. He was like, "Dude, like, why aren't you hosting the show?" I was like, "Oh, because like my mind, like I'm worried about like other things." He was like, "Yeah, I get that." He was like, "But dude, like." He's like, you're totally shooting yourself in the foot by not hosting it. Like, you gotta. He's like, it gives you more stage time. I was like,
sure.
I was like, that's true, and so I did. I started hosting them more, and he's right. It helped me. It gave me more stage time. It helped me like come up with like quick-witted jokes in between the comics. Like something I would like riff off of something they'd said, or throwing a joke here and there. And I like hosting
skill,
too.
Dude. Hosting's a good skill to have. Yeah,
it's a good skill to have.
And I think it's really good for getting yourself used to challenging positions in a lineup, because that cold open hosting spot is a hard spot. And if you can do good in that spot, like then that means you could do good in a middle spot, and that means you could do good in the feature spot, because that opening spot is tough. They don't call it taking the bullet for nothing. So it's,
no.
Yeah, it can really help you grow as a comic for sure. But then that also presents little challenges too, because then it's like you maybe feel less comfortable to experiment or try new material because you're setting the pace for the show,
Right, you're setting the pace, and you've got a million other things to worry about, and am I saying this comic's name right? And got to remember their credits. Oh fuck, what did he just tell me? He did what club?
Yep.
I think for me producing that show in particular was. I would get the same comics who would reach out to me and be like, hey, like, I want to be on the next show. I want to be on the next show. And I'd be like, dude, like, I can't keep having you back over and over again. Like, let me, I've got all these other comics that have like signed up or whatever. Like, I got to give them time too. And then like, they constantly ask me for me to give them stage time. But when I found out that they were producing a show, and I'm like, hey, like, I would love to be on too, or,
sure.
And it's just like crickets or like leave me on red. I'm like, all right.
It's hard. The exchange rate between producers and comedians on stuff like that. It's a little imbalanced at times for sure. And we're all kind of guilty of it a little bit too. You know what I mean? If you've ever been in a position where you can hook someone up, it's hard when people are asking a lot. You know what I mean? It's like, because you can't keep everybody happy. It is one of those things where it's like, and you're right. You can't just repeat the same comics over and over and over again, because then people won't come to the show anymore.
No, there was actually, it wasn't over and over and over again, but I would consistently book our friend Jason Collins. Not most of the time, but a lot. I did a lot. But he was so good at, I mean, he's a great headliner. And he was just so warm with the crowd. Oh yeah, you know how he sits down. He he talks to people. Like he talks to you.
He's a pro.
And people loved it. They're like, you got to bring him back more and more. People would tell me, I'm like, okay. As a headliner,
and he writes from stage too. So he's kind of always got something new that he's working on or picking at.
Yeah,
and I think people appreciate seeing that. When you see that, it's like, if it's the same comic doing the same 10 minutes word for word over and over again, you know what I mean? Like people can get bored with that. Yeah. But Jason has that ability to sort of like make it different enough every single time to where people don't feel like they're just watching
it's the same set. Yeah. He's so good at that.
Yeah. And he'll just sit down and be like, what do you guys want to talk about? You know what I mean? And that's brave. That's not an easy thing to do.
Well, he'll be like, what do you guys want to talk about? And then he'll somehow connect it to material that he's got. Like about his kids, about his dogs, about his wife, about,
Yep.
I'm like, how the fuck? That's just years and years, dude.
Doing it. You put in the time. That's decades right there,
Speaking of time, we are out of time. And this is your moment to let us know if you've got anything coming up or where we could follow you. Do you have any upcoming shows, or you want to shout out your eBay thing, or?
I mean, shoot, if you're looking for an old VCR or a used toaster, I mean, message me on Instagram and I'll send you my eBay links, dude. But
hell yeah.
Other than that, just follow me on Instagram. I mean, that's kind of like where I, post shows and stuff like that.
Wait, what about your vintage skateboards?
Oh yeah. Well, and I sell the vintage skateboards and everything too. Yeah.
Totally
check out my
forgot to ask you
Instagram
that
for more
earlier.
on that. We
Yeah.
could do a whole other podcast on that. Realistically, dude, 'cause there's so much to talk about. It's crazy. Like I got the old Muska shirt right here. You know what I mean? It's an interesting world that I excuse me, that I stumbled into. But check out my Instagram at Martinelli Comedy. You can see some of my stand-up clips, and you can see a lot of my vintage skateboard stuff too. And that's usually where like I announce shows. At this point, I'm just, I'm still just doing the work, grinding out as many shows wherever I can, whenever I can. So, I don't have any specific shows to promote right now. Just hit me on Instagram and you'll see where I'm going to be. It's pretty every week all around Southern California, realistically, LA, San Diego, Orange County, the IE, up to Santa Barbara, Ventura County, wherever I can go is where I'm going to be,
Dude, what if you and I produce one together?
I'd be down for that. Let's do it.
Yeah. I've been wanting to get back into stand-up so bad, dude. I don't know what I'm scared of. I haven't done it in months. It's been months.
Just do it. It's not, I feel like there's times where you can put it on a pedestal, you know what I mean? And be like, and go, it's way up here. Like, it's right there. It's right there. You just go do it, dude. I tell myself all the time I'm going to take a break, and then I go, nah, I'm not. I'm just going to keep going.
I got to rewatch Shia LaBeouf's video. Just do it.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you being on the show. Thanks for talking to me. Good catch up. Listeners, you can follow Rick on Instagram at Rick Martinelli Comedy.
It's just Martinelli Comedy now.
Martinelli Comedy.
It's just too damn long, dude. So I took my
That is
first
pretty long.
Martinelli Comedy. Yeah, that's the memorable part anyway.
Actually, real quick, I remember you and I would joke about this a lot because my grandparents are buried in a cemetery in Long Beach next to a family with your last name, and there aren't very many Martinellis around, but like my family and like that Martinelli family like knew each other, like there was a connection.
Really?
So I remember every time I see you, I'd be like,
yeah.
"Oh, dude, are we cousins maybe?" Or
I remember having that conversation. I forgot about that entirely, dude. That is so strange. And that's in
so
Long
strange.
Beach. I fucking live in Long Beach. You're telling me my last name's on a grave in Long Beach? That's creepy as shit, dude.
That's creepy. All Souls Cemetery, if you want to go check it out.
Oh, dude, I don't know. That might be kind of scary. Looking at
maybe don't go. Don't go if you don't want to have an anxiety attack.
I won't go high. That's for sure.
Don't go as sober as possible. Yeah, don't do that high. All right, man. Thanks for being here. And
man. Thank you for having me, dude. This was a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate it. It was good talking to you, man. We haven't seen each other in a minute, man. Let's make it happen.
I'm so down. All right, dude.
Hell yeah.
Goodbye.
All right, brother.
Adios. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you'll get notifications when new episodes drop. Thanks to my guest, Rick Martinelli. Music by Mark Fabian. Produced and engineered by Robert Altuler. Recorded by Command Creative Studios. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Kill the Small Talk Podcast and at Command Creative Studios. We'll see you next time. Bye.